Go ahead, Darius.
Greetings, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. However you're feeling today, this webinar will hopefully put a smile on your power sports loving face. I am Darius Blackford, Organizational Director of the National Powersports Dealer Association. The NPDA, made up of more than 400 dealers, is proud to be hosting today's webinar with our great partner, the Iron Lily Project. You might be wondering, what is the Iron Lily Project? Why do they support the NPDA, and how can dealers benefit from this partnership and project? Well, that's why we're here today. You will soon hear from some very special guests. From the Iron Lily team, you're going to hear from the movie's producers, Yochanan Marcelino, Don Knows, and Michael Johnson. You're also going to hear from special advisors to the project, Chris Summer Simmons, National Motorcycle, Sturgis Museum, and AMA Hall of Famer and cannonball racer, as well as Gail Worth, well-known Kansas City motorcycle dealer and a member of the NPDA board. You're also going to hear from Bob Altoff. He is chairman of the NPDA, but for this project, he sat in an even more important place. He owns what was once Iron Lily's dealership and sat at her actual desk running the business. We look forward to hearing from this esteemed group. But first, it wouldn't be right to talk about a visual experience like the Iron Lily Project without some Hollywood theatrics, right? Sit back and enjoy this cool video, and I'll see you in a few minutes.
What inspired me most about Lilly and her story, and made me passionate to do this film, is how she fought so hard against the odds to chase after her dreams. It's this hidden gem of an underdog story, like Rudy or Seabiscuit, but with motorcycles. It's got lots of great action with all the incredible motorcycle racing, like board track and flat track and hill climbs. Plus it's got romance, humor, and tons of heart. It shows the incredible camaraderie of the motorcycle community as they rally to help each other during this time in history. I mean, you should hear how people in the motorcycle world talk about Lilly.
Lilly Farrow is one of the strongest women I've ever heard of in the motorcycling industry.
And I mean, there's so many adjectives I could use to describe her.
She's brave,
rebellious,
takes chances,
would not take no for an answer.
Sharp as a tack.
A superwoman.
A motorcycle rider, a businesswoman, a mom.
Was approachable.
A really giving person.
Great leader. She's courageous.
She's a survivor.
My admiration for her is off the charts.
She had a real understanding and passion for the community.
I wish she was alive today because I would definitely be her friend.
She was one of the first pioneers in helping to establish what Harley-Davidson Motor Company became.
And she made her mark on the motorcycle community and on the world. And I'm telling you what, man, it brings tears to my eyes just talking to you about it.
I get goosebumps. She's definitely an inspiration.
I just fell in love with her story. She's someone everyone needs to know.
The story begins with Lilly and her husband Dale getting married and sharing this dream of owning a motorcycle shop. So they started the Lilly Farrow Harley-Davidson Dealership in 1912. Despite facing lots of competition and difficult world events, they get the business up and running. But then, Dale tragically dies, leaving Lilly alone with their 3 young kids. After that, she decides she wants to keep the shop and honor their dream, but faces so many challenges, being a woman in this man's world of the motorcycle industry. And just when she starts to earn their respect and sell some bikes, the Great Depression hits. She doesn't know how she's going to survive it, but her determination, ingenuity, and the strong community she built give her a chance.
Lilly was born in 1892, and her husband started a Harley dealership at a very young age, in their 20s.
It's, truly a love story. They're starting off young and they had a dream and they followed it.
They shared this mutual love and passion for motorcycling.
Tragically, she lost her husband at a very young age after he had given her 3 beautiful young children.
But she had to go through so much just to save the family's business.
Hey, think about that. How easily could she have, after her husband passes away, simply sell the business, close the business, fold? I mean, I know she didn't have a whole lot of other options, but we always have choices.
She followed her heart, and it was her dream and his dream, and she honored him by keeping that shop going.
It was hard for her because she was a woman again, and women didn't do those kind of things. So it took a while for her to gain that respect.
Any kind of woman in the industry back then was very rare.
She had to suffer the stock market crash, the depression, wars, the Spanish flu, the pandemic.
But she was a woman who somehow, some way, sustained through all of the things that the world threw at her, all the while being the great builder of a community.
Lilly loved people, and she loved being inclusive.
Lilly really established the model for a motorcycle club that put together rides and races for motorcycle riders, but for charity as well.
I cannot imagine what it was like in the 20s and in the teens, getting the respect of the men and of the motor company. And she did it.
There are other women dealers. There are many women dealers over the years, but I really think Lilly was the first, and she was really the one who broke through that glass ceiling.
And I have to imagine that she opened up so many doors.
The door has just been opened by her and the road has been paved.
Her dealership is the oldest dealership in the United States that's still in operation today, and that's quite a feat.
But there really needs to be a better way to share this story and to really share who she was with the world and the impact she's had on this community and this entire industry.
And really there have been very few movies about this subject, and I think it's really timely because no one's really done it.
So I think that's the beauty of our story. It's about the coolest thing on the planet, motorcycles. We make noise, we turn heads, then after we get their attention, we give them an uplifting, amazing story.
I think to see that story on the big screen is going to be fantastic.
If you've been touched by Lilly Farrow's story, I ask you to join us in making this great inspirational film for the ages. Help us bring it to the big screen.
I've invested in this project because I believe in the passion of this team and the motorcycle community. I fully trust that these filmmakers will make an extraordinary film. They have a long track record of amazing work, and they have access to top-notch Hollywood talent to tell Lilly's story in the most inspiring way possible.
We feel like we've got the right writer, we've got the right director.
And we know together we're going to make a great film and touch lives all over the world.
Even if you don't care about motorcycles at all, it doesn't matter, because this story is about so much more than that.
And so I don't want us to only paint this as a story of a woman.
There's things in her story that everyone can relate to. You don't have to be a woman, you don't have to be a writer. You are going to see yourself in some part of her story.
So I don't think it's just for the motorsport world. I think it's for everybody.
So the power of this story, I think, inspires all of us to know that we can do things we might not imagine we can.
This is a story of a woman who had a dream, and she reached for the stars, and she did it.
It's good, and I think people are going to love it.
I can't imagine what a full-length film is going to do to people's hearts who are not even interested in motorcycles. I think it has a great potential to just inspire and capture the hearts of millions of people around the world. Hopefully they get on motorcycles afterwards.
Well, folks, as you can see, the movie's only half done. So we, in all seriousness, the video had a little bit of a problem there, but we are gonna tag that final video to the end of the recording. So you're going to be able to go back and watch it. We'll also make it available in the NPDA newsletter and an email. So you're going to get a chance to watch that on any of your devices at your leisure. So, you know, I have seen that video dozens of times, and I still get excited about this project. I actually spent 5 years working at the Farrow dealership as the head of marketing, and I often had the chance to peruse files and photo books about those days when Lilly was at the helm. And I would think to myself, those folks knew how to have fun on a motorcycle. Well, to learn more about how the 7-minute video that you got to see part of is going to become a full-length feature film, we're going to hold a Q&A with our special guests. We'll start with Jokanan Marcelino. Jokanan, what is your role with this project? You're on mute. You're on mute. Um, there you go.
There we go. Let me just say that it's an honor to be here today talking to all of you and being able to share sort of the journey that that we've been on, myself as a producer and my producing partners. And so let's talk about that for a second. What goes into developing a major motion picture? Let me start off by saying this, that if you've seen the movie, I should say the episodic series, The Offer, which was the behind the scenes approach to The Godfather. That's what I do. Albert J. Ruddy was the producer, and when you see that, it'll blow your mind to go, I can't believe that producers wear 1,000 hats. But that's what we do. And we start off really in the development process. And that process means that we're going to be looking for the right product to develop and to turn into a movie. And so I would say this, that I put it together from A to Z, and I run with it from the beginning until the very end when you see it on the big screen.
Well, hearing that commitment that you as a producer have to make, what inspired you to want to tell this story, to take on, to wear all those 1,000 hats for this particular project?
Great question. We live in a world of stories. Our lives are built on stories. To try to find a story that would inspire, that would motivate, that would change people's hearts and minds from maybe something they were thinking about to something that could really make a difference in their life is not an easy thing to do. So it's the story that I'm going after when we talk about what inspired me. And when I heard Lilly Farrow's story for the very first time, I remember just kind of sitting back going, if this is true, this might be one of the most amazing women in the world. And of course it was true. And as I was able to dig deeper into her life, I began to see, wow, this is a person that her and her husband, basically kids, started their first Harley dealership and in Columbus, Ohio area. And they ran with a vision, and that vision kept going against major obstacles. World War I, the Spanish flu pandemic, the hard knocks of so many things that happened in the Roaring 20s and out, and Black Friday and all of that stuff. She went through it all as a dealer and kept on fighting. And that story inspired me. And I know it's going to inspire you.
Well, Don, let me hear if you could expand on that a little bit. Really, I mean, knowing, a lot of people went through those challenges of those days. I mean, many of us have grandparents or great grandparents. But Don, what is it that makes Lilly so unique?
Well, Lilly fought so hard against all the odds to chase after her dreams. And one dream after another was just dashed to pieces. She survived 2 world wars, Spanish flu epidemic of 1918, stock market crash in 1929, the Great Depression that followed. She survived all of this as a single mother, losing her husband in 1927. Now, it's been mentioned before on the video that she was born in 1892, and at 20 years old, she opened a dealership with her husband, Dale, who was 23. And Lilly had the first woman-owned dealership, that Harley-Davidson motorcycle dealership in Columbus, Ohio. And that dealership itself was founded in 1912, making it the oldest Harley dealership in America. So I think the primary focus of the Iron Lily LLC is to produce a world-class inspirational film, which we believe is going to resonate with audiences everywhere by encouraging personal empowerment, racial inclusiveness, and true community, which crosses all cultural lines. The Iron Lily film is one of love, courage, and dedication to the things that matter most. And that, of course, would be friends, family, and community. Now, to me, there's a lot of things that stand out about Lilly Farrow. Her determination, in other words, her strength of character, and her ingenuity, her imagination, her creativity, both of these gave her a real chance. Her bravery and sheer willpower against all the odds, I think, is going to inspire all audiences everywhere. And even if you've never been on a motorcycle, you'll be introduced to the incredible camaraderie and generosity of the power sports community. I believe the Iron Lily movie discovers how one individual positively impacted her community.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. Thank you both, Yochanan and Don. Michael, I want to turn it over to you because you've been working on the side of developing and expanding upon the movie's importance and the Lilly story's importance to the power sports industry.
Right.
You know, the industry has got a lot of wonderful things going for it, but it faces challenges. How is this movie going to possibly make a difference for that industry?
Well, you know, I can say with confidence that this movie has the potential to have an incredible impact. You know, most of us don't think about very often, but any movie anyone has ever seen, maybe other than a Marvel Comics movie or something like that, has impacted you in some way, little or big. And the list is endless. You saw Sideways, it affected what kind of wine people bought. A tin cup for golf. And there are some examples, in the interest of time, can't go into in any length, but they have had profound effects on an industry and how people spend their time and how people spend their money. 8 Seconds is one quick example, a movie probably no one has really heard of, kind of a niche movie about rodeoing. Well, most people wouldn't relate to that, but that's still inspiring rodeo riders today. It really affected the rodeo industry. There's a certain type of movie that can really move people. And I think we have that. Movies that have two factors. You can make an emotional connection and they are relatable. Now, if the story is true, that's all the better. We have all of that. And I think it has the potential of moving this industry in a big and mighty way, as long as people see it. It doesn't matter how good of story you have, and Lilly Farrow has a great story. We don't have to embellish it, but it doesn't matter how good of a story you have or how wonderful of a movie you have, you got to have people to see it. And unlike Hollywood, we have been already for the last couple of years and ongoing through movie release, creating awareness in every way we can, particularly in the power sports community. We sponsored many events. We were the lead sponsor at the AMA Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Biker Bells, both Sturgis and Daytona, sponsored the 100 top women in power sports. And well, I see Tigra's put some of it up. This is going to be ongoing for us. We intend to build a growing and exciting audience and be transparent with updates as we progress with the movie through social media and other means, and hopefully power sports dealers included, to create awareness and have a big, incredible audience for this movie by the time it comes out.
Well, clearly these laurels show the exposure that's out there already, but how will dealers then be encouraged and almost taught or led to what's the vision really for leading dealerships to really make use of the movie, to be involved with the movie when it comes out?
Okay, you use the word vision. We've definitely got one, and we're not being presumptuous because this is a dealer by dealer decision. You know, whether or not they want to understand what we have, that'd be the first ask. Get familiar with our project and see what it might do. And I think if they do that, it's compelling that our interests are incredibly aligned, where we can have a successful movie and a movie that will hugely impact our sport. And we're, we're going to ask dealers to officially join us. We'd like to put a growing list on our website. And what that will mean at first is won't cost any money. It's just, we understand it, we get it, we want to support. And what that may involve is very little now, maybe some collaterals in the store, little flyers by the cash register, educate your floor staff so they talk it up with people, start to generate that buzz that can build over time. But the real ask will come, and we want the commitment now, where we hope to have a nationwide network. About by the time we have a release date for the movie, about 6 months prior to that, will be a big push that we envision dealerships being a part of. It's certainly not all we're doing, but we see this as a critical big push that could just make this movie break out in a huge way. And
we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm sorry, we're going to talk a little bit more some dealer relations here in a minute. And I want to keep us on point here, folks. You're all doing a great job on what's a very, very complex story, and I'm glad we're able to tell it. We've already heard from 3 key members of the team, so I want to go back to Jochanan very quickly and Jochanan, can you tell us about the team of consultants and advisors and the producers you've assembled for this project? I know it's not just the folks on this screen. There's been a lot of people involved in this.
It's an incredible process to have gone through, because it seems like wherever we had a need, somebody just appeared. It was magic. And I would say that it began really with the heart of Bob Altoff. When we first got together with Bob, Michael and I and Don, and we began to talk about Lilly Farrow. Like you said earlier, Darius, Bob sat for 25, 30 years at her desk at A.D. Farrow, Harley-Davidson in Columbus. But to hear his passion, it was infectious upon Michael, Don, and I. And then we began to do our own research. And through relationships that we met along the road with Bob and others, we had an opportunity to meet Lorraine Reardon, Lily Hobson, and Donna Farrow, who are the granddaughters of Lilly Farrow. And man, just seeing these people and meeting them and talking to them blew me away. And it was like, wow, this is the DNA right here, But the DNA wasn't just a physical DNA. All of a sudden, I'm meeting great women like, Chris Summers Simmons and Gail Worth, who are with us now, Marilyn Stemp and Tigra Sukakawa, and I'm looking at Brittany Olson and Jill Parham, and I'm starting to see, wow, that spirit, that heart that Lilly carried is in the DNA of these women. And they all have incredible stories that have been inspiring, to all of us as a production team all along. And then we go down the road to Brian Baugh, who I felt could write this story. He's a wonderful writer, director. Also brought him on as the director of the story to join Michael and Don and myself. He's done an incredible job with the screenplay. And then, of course, got an opportunity to see Why We Ride. I didn't know about it before this process began, 3.5 years ago, and had a chance to see that. And man, I got just inspired by the community that was behind that particular documentary that Brian Carroll did. And when Brian heard what we were doing, it was like, hey, whatever I can do to help, I love what you're doing. And then we got involved with Brian and Brian's team, Mike Schell, and others. And all I can say is the process of all the people that I just mentioned, and I hope I didn't miss any, but that's been the core, of all of this. And I think from that core, we're now able to really reach out as a team, reach out to the world and say, we've got something special here that can make a difference in everybody's lives and businesses?
Well, to be honest, the inquiring minds of the world, like those people that not only the writers, but non-writers want to know is, who are you possibly, what actors, who are you going to cast for this film?
You know, that always comes up, you know?
Yep.
And it rightly should. Well, you know, there's a process that we go through before we can get to that. And that's a timeline of making a film. And we right now, you got to have a great product that you believe in. We feel like we've got a great screenplay. We've had nothing but encouragement from those that have looked at the screenplay and read it. And we've got a great team, director, producers that are on board and behind this thing, great consultants, great advisors. We're all coming together on this. And I really feel that that process, which would begin with once you have the product, the financing side. And Michael will get into a little bit more of that as well. But we've got that going on. Once the film is financed, then we can go right into production. Okay. And that begins at pre-production, production, and post-production. And then we move on to the final cut and the marketing of the film. So it's when we get into pre-production that we really go after the right people. And I'll just say this, that our goal is to have as many motorcycle riding men and women as possible in this film. In other words, it's not that we would never have somebody that didn't do that, but I really feel that the passion of the actors and actresses in this film are going to be closely tied to their love of motorcycling and their love of everything that goes in the community that goes along with that. And
well, I'm going to be bringing that up in the next part of my program. I actually have some questions for our special guests about that specific topic. You know, so as I brought up before, we identify, you know, sometimes with movie characters or in movies, and at least I know as an audience member, I sometimes see myself, and others do as well, in a film. So Don, I'm wondering, will people see themselves in this movie, even if they don't ride motorcycles? Because Yochanan brought up the point of maybe getting actors and actresses that ride, but let's talk about those that are not yet riders. Part of our goal in Powersports as dealers is to grow the base, not sing to the choir, but to get the choir to grow. And so what do you think, Don? Is there going to be a way this is going to really resonate with non-riders who may take up the sport?
Absolutely. That's a great question, and I'll do my best to answer it here. I think everyone who sees this movie is going to identify with Lilly Farrow on some level. And I think you'll see yourself in this story, even if you don't ride motorcycles. And we believe that what that will do will be to encourage a whole new generation of future riders. Now, I've just jotted down mentally 4 ways that I think this movie can hit home to each one of us. Number 1, I think you'll be challenged when you see the film, especially if everything in your world is falling apart. And that's a lot of people out there right now that are having difficulty just coping with life. Secondly, I think you'll be challenged to keep going when there's so many different outside influences that seem to be holding you back. Third thing I want to mention is that you'll be challenged to keep going when there's so many things going on, and you don't feel respected, you don't feel honored, you don't feel valued for your ideas. These are all the things that Lilly faced. And then you'll be challenged to keep going when you know that you can make a difference, but there's so little appreciation. I think I've covered about every human being on the face of the earth here.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
the movie Iron Lily, I think, is going to serve as both an inspiration and an encouragement to all those that lack self-confidence and determination. It's going to inspire hope and the courage, I believe, to dream again. This movie is going to keep you fighting for your dreams when they seem to be going away.
Thank you, Don. That is some great insight. I mean, you covered everybody out there. At the same time, I will go back and challenge Michael on this one, because it has to be a good motorcycling movie. Clearly, for the people watching this this webinar and those we're going to share it with, we want it to be a good motorcycle movie. There's a lot of bad motorcycle movies out there, some that are irrelevant, some that are just bad for the sport. And how does Iron Lily compare to the good ones?
Well, I'm a motorcyclist. I've been a motorcyclist all my life, and I've seen most of those movies. And they're, to me, they fall into a few categories. The 1%ers, where motorcycles is not portrayed in a positive light, doesn't exactly entice new people into the sport. Documentaries, which are great on any Sunday while we ride, certainly inspired the base and motorcycling. But what Don and others have been saying is what I think makes this movie so great, is that Lily is so relatable to man or woman of any age. As she goes through struggles of life, and I personally relate to this, one of the ways she clears her head, in addition to all the adrenaline pumping racing scenes and all the other cool things in the movie, Lily is fighting life. Everyone relates to that. And some of the best decisions I have made, business or personal, have not been sitting at this desk. It's been on the open road somewhere on my motorcycle. And you will see Lilly Farrow doing that same thing. And I think many people relate to that. And this is what draws new people into the sport, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, that, because you mentioned Why We Ride, which really did reinvigorate the riding community. But, it's kind of like all lifestyle activities. Attracting new people to this sport is going to be critical for its success to go on long, in 100 years from all of our lives. And can Iron Lily inspire the industry to go the next step?
Look, I am convicted strongly that yes, it can do amazing things for this industry, as long as we make sure that we have a big audience to see it. And that's why, that's part of what this webinar is about, of course. But I want to spend just 1 second. I think it's very important to see what a movie can do for an industry. There are many examples, but there's a movie, A River Runs Through It. Maybe some people have seen it. Fly Fishing didn't sponsor that movie. They didn't promote it. They didn't try to make anything happen around that movie. They came out in 1992, and an unintended consequence, because people could relate to that story and people that had the backdrop of fly fishing, that industry doubled in the next 2 years. And I just found a quote. I want to read it. This is from the history of fly fishing, kind of see the impact of that movie. So they started in the 1800s, and in 1992, quote, these aren't my words, enticed droves of beginners to pick up a rod. As a sport and a business undergoes a period of spectacular and unprecedented growth. I mean, I say wow to that. And I think we have the kind of story that can do that for motorcycling. I absolutely do. And there have been, none in the past. Iron Lily is different than any in the past in that respect. So I think we have a chance of doing something quite extraordinary if we pool our resources.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks to all the producers today for speaking. I'm going to move us on here. You've heard about how the project is moving forward. Our next speakers, I'm really excited to hear from them, are going to give us a sense of why this project is important to our organization, the National Powersports Dealer Association, and why it really should matter to powersports dealers. I'm going to start with Gail Worth. Gail is kind of our Iron Gail for the NPDA. She is passionate about power sports and just a great enthusiastic business owner and motorcycle dealer. Gail, I would love for you to share your thoughts on just what this project can mean to the powersports industry and specifically dealers such as yourself.
Well, let me tell you something. This movie is going to appeal to men and women alike in a big way. I mean, you will not help but be sucked in to Iron Lily's story and her grit and her determination and her ability to get through anything that's thrown her way. She saw a star and she reached for it. And that's what's going to get people engaged. And they're going to accidentally be, I don't know, appeal to the motorcycle end of things. I mean, this movie is just going to, if it just does it accidentally, the motorcycle industry is going to be affected by this in a big way. I remember back in Wild Hogs when it came out. It was a goofy movie, but still, oh my gosh, so many people came in talking about it that had never ridden a motorcycle before, but they wanted to do it. They wanted to be, if Dudley can do it, they can do it. And they can see themselves in these characters on movies, and you can definitely see yourself in Iron Lily. She's amazing, and people are not going to help but love her. Men and women, they're going to love this movie. It's all about racing and love and grit and making it in spite of all the odds against you. I'm so excited. As a motorcycle dealer, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I was going to ask you because you're such a good community dealer, community building dealer. You understand what it takes to make riders and people feel part of the sport. You're probably already envisioning how you're going to use the movie to get people in your doors. I would imagine.
Oh, I'm already making plans for hosting a premiere in our city. I think that a dealer would be crazy not to do that. It's just, I mean, this is being laid in our lap. What a great opportunity. I'm super stoked. And thank you for letting me be part of it because this is amazing.
That's great. Thank you so much, Gail. I'm now honored to introduce Chris Simmons, who honestly, I don't think anyone here would argue with me, carries the most clout among all of us on this webinar when it comes to motorcycle riding. It's funny, but I actually truly believe that Lilly and Chris would have been great riding friends going off on different adventures on two wheels. Chris, you've got a wonderful connection to this sport. You're a Hall of Famer, a cannonball competitor, and so on. Why are you involved in this project, and what does it mean to you to see this thing moving forward?
This means so much to me in so many ways. I'm just so emotional listening to everybody talk. It's crazy. I've been a motorcyclist my whole life since I was 9 years old. I can still remember the first time I heard a motorcycle. I was so excited. But and I got riding with my stepdad and all that stuff, and 50 years ago, something like that. But I've known about Lilly for a long time. I did the book on the history of women in motorcycling in 2009, and she was kind of the superstar in my book. And I knew Farrow's Harley-Davidson. I'd been to some of their anniversary parties. I rode out from Chicago with a group of women in, I think, 1985 or 86 or something. But to get the story of Lilly on the screen, to me, seeing, like you mentioned, some of the other movies that we've had over the years, and being a woman motorcyclist, it's always been kind of like, okay, they don't get us. We need our own special story. And this is the one I think I've been waiting for my whole life. I just, because everything that the media has portrayed women on motorcycles has always been kind of the bad girl, and that could be fun too. I'm not saying that's not fun, but someone like her deserves the story to be told. And I think she does live inside all of us. I can feel the DNA in me. Like I get all riled up. The motorcycle community is such a family. I'm kind of rambling. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited. But, telling a story in a story that's real is really going to affect our industry. And I've been in this industry a long time. I started writing for motorcycle magazines in the early 80s and founded a women's motorcycle magazine. So I know how it was for me, and I can only relate to myself. And Gail, you know this too. But we've come far. But to have this movie come out would be so amazing. And I'm so excited. I have people asking me about it all the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I love old bikes too. So it's like, okay, racing, riding with the foot clutch. and I know they're going to get it right. That's the thing. When I talked to Yokonan, I was like, okay, when I first was introduced to them, I'm like, you got to get the story right. I read the script. It's really good. There's so much cool stuff in there. There's something for everyone that everyone can relate to, the racing, the family stuff. I mean, I just put myself back in that time when I read the script, and it was so just the birth of motorcycling as we know it really came out of the clubs and the families and the stuff that they did to bring their community. And Lilly was really big on doing the charity newsies events and the races. And anyway, I could go on and on about Lilly, but I'm so excited to be asked to be part of this project. It's heartfelt, and I do everything I can do to help get this story out there. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that story, all your stories. Yokonan and Michael and Don, you guys have got a business plan that is, it's been estimated to weigh 35 pounds. It's 1,000,000 pages long. To be honest, I have your marketing plan. Just put Gail and Chris on motorcycles, let them barnstorm around the country, and you're going to have sold out shows. I mean, I think that would fit with the theme of this. So yeah, Bob is showing the book there. It's honestly, you thank you both so much. Your energy and enthusiasm is definitely gonna inspire this thing to move forward. I mentioned Bob, and Bob has a copy. He introduced me to the copy of that business plan. So our final comments are going to come from the man who literally followed in the footsteps of Lilly Farrow, Bob Altoff. I was serious when I said he sat at Lilly's desk running the dealership. I mean, it's a real thing, and he has it. And so, Bob, I just want to ask you, what after all your time in that position and your feelings about Lilly, what's this project mean to you as a motorcyclist, but also as a dealer?
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks to everybody. What more can be said? I like Chris, used my paper route money to buy my first motorcycle when I was a teenager, and never did I dream that my avocation would become my vocation. But the day that I sat down for the very first time in my dealership, it was behind a desk that I had restored that Lilly bought in 1916 from the Globe Desk Company in Boston, Massachusetts. I know the joys, the incredible joys, the highs of being a dealer. I also know the challenges. And I think a lot of you know that I'm in total awe of the great work being done by dealers in small dealerships and large all over our country and probably all over the world. The fact of the matter is that I took a lot of inspiration from Lilly and from that desk, and knowing that she got through all this stuff, and so could I. And I think that's really the essence of all of this. I want to thank the Iron Lilly team. They've been great supporters of the MPDA, and they are a sponsor. I think as a dealer, I look forward to doing with Iron Lilly what I did with Why We Ride and with Wild Hogs as well. I want to rent a theater or two, and I want to have a customer appreciation event. I want to bring my customers to a place other than my business. I'm not going to try and sell them a t-shirt. I'm just going to buy them a soft drink and some popcorn, and we're going to have them bring their families. And we're all going to be inspired, and it's going to help grow this industry. Our industry has lots of great stories, but until we get to the mass market with things like a major motion picture or a broadcast channel that tells our stories in a consistent way, we are going to struggle to grow the industry. And so the prescription is right here. This is mass market, and I can't wait to see it. So thank you all. I will tell you this 120-page business plan is legit. And a Hollywood producer told me that it was the best business plan he had ever seen. So these guys have done their homework, and they're very sincere about what their hopes are for our industry, and I congratulate them and thank them.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for your leadership with the NPDA, but also with really bringing this story to fruition and preserving. You could have, when you were involved, when you bought the dealership, you could have just wiped the Lilly story clean, and it would have been lost to history. So this is a real important process that's gone on to preserve that. So. Folks, we have a few minutes left, and some questions have come in, so I do want to offer those up to the group. This one's for Chris Summer Simmons and perhaps Don knows. I'll let you two kind of see how this goes. But the question is, how do you accurately depict and create a period piece involving the two-wheel authentic action that's certainly going to be required for this movie?
Oh, well, I guess I could answer that. You find people who can ride a foot clutch Harley, okay? and, and there's a lot of us, and it's not that hard to learn. I mean, I've been riding, gosh, probably for 40 years before I learned. And once you do, it's kind of like driving a stick shift car. You know, you kind of really get into your gears, and it's fun. It's a whole other way of riding. But I just love it. That's all I ride now is foot clutch bikes. So I think that's the thing that I told the guys, got to get it right. You know, you got to get the real bikes, and they're out there, and I can help you find them too. So
Don, anything to add to that, to keeping the period, keeping it really historic and authentic?
Yeah, I would just say that there's this wonderful thing in the movie industry called CGI, or computer generated imagery. And I don't know if anybody remembers the 1958 Alfred Hitchcock film called Vertigo. It was first used in that movie, but that has literally transformed the film industry, and by allowing filmmakers to create visual effects that would be impossible to do otherwise. And probably one of the greatest examples of that is the old Nicolas Cage movie from 2011 called Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. And he was able to transform that motorcycle into this fiery, demonic machine that defied all laws of physics. Well, I think we can do the very same thing with the Iron Lily film, like in recreating the velodrome, that old wooden racetrack, but that would capture all the action that took place and actually allow people to see what a velodrome actually looked like back in those days. And so there's things like that that we can do to really move this along. And
well, I still think a second film then I would rather see is Chris Simmons teaching Bradley Cooper or Nicole Kidman how to ride an antique bike. That would be the fun. Take the CGI out of it. So no, but thank you both. That's honestly, that, I mean, Chris, you say it's an easy thing to learn, but it's still going to take some skills, even if CGI is used, to keep the authenticity. And it's going to be neat. The period piece, the period clothing, all those things, that's going to make it really special. So
I'm excited about it. I love that stuff. All the different stuff.
That's why I think did you send in that question? It was right. It was tailored for you. So we have another question about the filming for Yokonan. Somebody from Ohio clearly wants to know, is this going to be filmed in Ohio?
Okay, here we go. Yes.
There you go. Thank you.
We're going to be doing this thing in Ohio and maybe some other places, but definitely we've got some incredible opportunities there. And had a chance to see Buckeye Lake, that area. Wow. That's where Lilly, lived for so many years. And it goes on and on and on. We've got snow riding. We've got every kind of hill climb you can imagine. This is going to be some powerful visual effects and some really exciting stuff, combined with a beautiful, inspirational, dramatic film, a love story on top of it all. And by the way, some incredible original music is going to be involved in this. We've got a song called "They Can't Take My Dream Away," which is right to the point of everybody in the world trying to take Lily's dream away. And we've got some other incredible people that love what we're doing, want to be part of it. And one of them is Chris's husband, Pat Simmons. And it's just exciting. Myself, my writing partner, Jerry, and Don and I have music backgrounds. that we came into the film industry from the music industry. So there's going to be some powerful period yet today music that's going to make a difference in people's lives.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, folks, I'm going to bring this full circle because this was a message and a show for dealers, although we have others online who are not dealers. But if I could just ask Michael, how dealers can stay up to date, learn more about this movie, and really ways to incorporate into their business efforts when it does come out. I know Gail is probably going to do some coaching to help dealers to maximize that. But what on your side, Michael? What would be the takeaway that dealers should really leave from viewing this today? You're on, Michael. I'm sorry. You're on mute.
So sorry.
There you go.
Thought I
You're
was
welcome.
done. So we want them to understand our project and support us. And coincidentally, I'm just going to show this. We have, and Gail has seen it. This is a 10 to 15 minute read. This is strictly for Powersports dealers. We intend to contact every dealer in the country to join with us because our interests are so aligned. But one of the visions we have is having in-store promotions prior to movie release involving ticket pre-sales. That may be a new term for some people, but that is a proven model that can be extraordinarily successful for an independent film to break out. Just real quickly, we had 5,000 dealers that could entice 400 people. I think even a small dealership could do that. That's 2 million people with ticket pre-sales. That would absolutely impact this industry. And if we combine our resources, we can control the outcome. We can make a great film, and we can ensure we get, frankly, butts and seats that make a difference. And we're going to be doing other things with plenty other groups, but the Powersports industry and clearly the dealerships are a critical part of it. And the more that I think they understand it's all about education, the more they will like it. And I can tell you, we already have some very high profile dealerships that have verbally said we're in. So we're going to be contacting you. Be open to looking is all I'm asking.
Thank you, Michael. That document you showed, I'm actually going to have you send me the PDF. We'll make it available. I know you folks are going to be at the AIM Expo in a couple weeks in Las Vegas. If dealers are interested in learning more, you'll have a chance there. So as they say in the movies, folks, that's a wrap. So I would like to thank our panelists and all of our audience members out there who followed this webinar today. What a great story. I wish we could go on and it's a wonderful story that's going to be told really well. So we're going to make a recording of today's webinar available, and I encourage you to go to ironlily.com for the latest updates on this project. Other than that, on behalf of the National Powersports Dealer Association, I am Darius Blackford. I want to thank you for your time and your tremendous attendance today and support for this project and all that the National Powersports Dealership Association is doing for our industry. With that, stay warm. Have a great day.
Thank you. The webinar is over, but we're still here. Is Tigger or Darius coming back?